In the heart of the Vatican, behind ancient walls, people shrouded in 5 centuries of mystery carry out their duties. The Swiss Guard is an elite unit in brightly colored uniforms that has protected the Pope for over 500 years. But behind the apparent decorativeness lies one of the most professional military formations in the world. Sacred oaths, ancient rituals, secret documents. What really goes on in the barracks of the Pope's defenders? What secrets do the walls of the Vatican hold? Subscribe to our channel to learn more about the historical secrets and mysteries of the past. And in the comments, tell us whether you think the ancient traditions of the Swiss Guard are justified in the modern world, or whether they are simply an expensive anachronism. In the heart of Rome, behind the ancient walls of the Vatican, there are people whose history is shrouded in mystery and legend. The Swiss Guard is an elite unit that has been protecting the head of the Catholic Church for over 500 years. 110 men in brightly colored uniforms are all that stand between the Pope and the outside world. But who are they really? Every morning, when the first rays of the sun illuminate the dome of St. Peter's Basilica, the guards take up their posts. Their uniforms, which seem to have come straight out of the pages of historical chronicles, attract the attention of millions of tourists. The yellow, blue, and red stripes create a striking contrast with the gray stones of the Vatican. Many consider this uniform to be a carnival costume, but they are deeply mistaken. Behind the bright colors lies one of the most professional military units in the world. Each guard undergoes a rigorous selection process in the Swiss Army, followed by special training in the Vatican. They study the art of close combat, are proficient in modern weapons, and know the intricacies of diplomatic protocol. But most importantly, they take a sacred oath that binds them for life. What is this oath? What secrets does the initiation ceremony hide? Why were the Swiss chosen from among all the nations of the world to protect the Pope? And what ancient rituals do modern guards still observe? Today, the Swiss Guard is not just a ceremonial unit. They use the most modern equipment, video surveillance systems, armored vehicles, and the latest generation of communications equipment. Their arsenal includes pistols, automatic weapons, and body armor. Each guard is capable of single-handedly confronting a group of terrorists, but the traditions remain unchanged. Every May 6th, on the anniversary of the heroic defense of Rome, new guards take an oath of allegiance. This ceremony is held in the strictest secrecy. Only a select few are allowed to attend this ancient ritual. What happens in those moments? What words do the young Swiss pronounce? And why is this oath considered unbreakable? The history of the Swiss Guard is full of mysteries and contradictions. They served various popes, experienced periods of prosperity and decline, and participated in historical events that they prefer not to talk about openly. Some episodes of their service are still classified in the Vatican archives. What secrets do these documents hold? And why does the Church so carefully hide some pages of the history of its defenders? On January 6, 1506, Pope Julius II made a decision that changed the history of the Vatican forever. On that winter day, 150 Swiss mercenaries under the command of Captain Caspar von Zillenegg approached the gates of Rome. They came to become the personal guard of the head of the Catholic Church. But why were the Swiss given this honor? The beginning of the 16th century was a time of great upheaval for Europe. The Italian states were at war with each other, and the French and Spanish were fighting for dominance on the peninsula. The papacy needed reliable protection, but who could be trusted with the life of Christ's representative on earth? The Italians were divided by political contradictions, while the French and Germans pursued their own interests. The Swiss, on the other hand, were renowned for two qualities: invincibility in battle and absolute loyalty to those they served. The mountain cantons of Switzerland were poor lands at that time. The harsh Alps did not allow for large-scale agriculture. From childhood, young Swiss men were accustomed to hardship, becoming resilient and fearless warriors. They developed revolutionary battle tactics that struck terror into the hearts of their enemies throughout Europe. The Swiss pike phalanx was an impenetrable wall of death. Pope Julius II, known as the Warrior Pope, participated in military campaigns himself. He understood the value of good soldiers. The Swiss had already proven themselves to be unmatched warriors in battles across Europe. Their services were expensive, but they never betrayed their employers. Even in the face of death, Swiss mercenaries preferred to die rather than retreat. The history of the Guards' creation is shrouded in legend, but documents from that time have preserved some details. Negotiations with the Swiss cantons were conducted in secret. Papal diplomats offered not just a military contract, but a special agreement. The Swiss received not only a salary, but also spiritual privileges. They became soldiers of Christ in the literal sense. The first initiation ceremony took place in the Sistine Chapel. Each guard had to undergo a special ritual. They knelt before the Pope, placed their hands on the Gospel, and took an oath in Latin. The exact text of this oath was kept secret for centuries. All that is known is that the Swiss swore to protect the Pope with their lives and to keep the secrets entrusted to them. But the creation of the Guard also had political motives. Julius II sought to make the papacy an independent political force. The Swiss Guards were to become a symbol of this independence. Their bright uniforms, designed by court artists, were intended to demonstrate the power and wealth of the Church. Every detail of the costume had a symbolic meaning, with roots stretching back to ancient times. The first years of the Guard's existence were full of trials. The Swiss not only had to guard the Pope, but also participate in military operations. They fought against the French, repelled attacks by mercenaries, and defended papal territories. Their bravery quickly became legendary, but their real baptism by fire was yet to come. On May 6, 1527, an event took place that forever inscribed the name of the Swiss Guard in the annals of history. On that day, 147 guardsmen performed a feat that still stands as a model of military valor and self-sacrifice. They accepted death while defending Pope Clement VII from the army of Emperor Charles V. But what happened on that fateful day? The political situation in Italy was extremely tense. Pope Clement VII had formed an alliance with the French king against the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V. The imperial troops, commanded by Charles de Bourbon, were advancing on Rome. They included German mercenaries, Spanish pikemen, and Italian condottieri, a total of about 20,000 battle-hardened warriors. Rome had virtually no defenses. The city walls were dilapidated, and there was no regular army. The only reliable force capable of protecting the Pope was 189 Swiss Guards under the command of Captain Caspar Royst. They were professional soldiers, but their numbers were insignificant compared to the enemy army. On the morning of May 6th, the imperial troops began their assault on the city. The German mercenaries, embittered by the delay in their pay, were eager to loot. They quickly broke through the defenses at the San Pancrazio Gate and stormed into the city. One of the most terrible sieges in the history of Rome began. Soldiers mercilessly killed civilians, looted churches, and desecrated shrines. Swiss guards took up defensive positions at St. Peter's Cathedral. Their task was impossible: to hold back an army of thousands, to give the Pope time to take refuge in Castel Sant'Angelo. Caspar Royst knew it was a suicide mission, but his oath of allegiance was above all else. The guards formed a battle line on the steps of the cathedral. The battle was short but fierce. The Swiss fought with the desperation of the doomed, but did not retreat a single step. Their halberds and swords mowed down the attackers, but the enemy's numerical superiority was too great. Captain Royst was one of the first to fall, receiving a fatal wound to the chest. His men followed him. 42 guardsmen managed to clear a path for the Pope to the Castel Sant'Angelo. They formed a living corridor through which Clement VII was able to reach refuge. These brave men paid with their lives for saving the head of the church. Their bodies littered the square in front of St. Peter's Cathedral. The blood of the Swiss soldiers stained the sacred stones of the Eternal City. But the guards' feat was not in vain. The Pope was saved and was able to continue governing the church from the castle. News of the heroic death of the Swiss spread throughout Europe. Their self-sacrifice became a symbol of loyalty and honor. Since then, every May 6th, new guards take an oath in memory of their fallen comrades. The sacking of Rome lasted 8 months. The imperial soldiers turned the Eternal City into ruins. Many believed that after such a catastrophe, the Swiss Guard would never be restored. But they were wrong. The feat of the 147 heroes only strengthened the determination to protect the Pope at any cost. To understand the uniqueness of the Swiss Guard, one must look into the history of Swiss military art. The Alpine cantons gave rise to a military tradition that was unmatched in medieval Europe. Swiss mercenaries became legendary long before the first of them set foot on Vatican soil. But what turned mountain shepherds into invincible warriors? The geography of Switzerland shaped the character of its inhabitants. Rugged mountains, narrow valleys, and inaccessible passes all required people to be particularly resilient and helpful to one another. From childhood, the Swiss were accustomed to danger and deprivation. Every man had to be able to defend his home and family. Military affairs became part of everyday life. In the 13th century, the Swiss cantons began their struggle for independence from Habsburg rule. Small groups of mountain dwellers clashed with professional knight armies. The outcome seemed a foregone conclusion. For centuries, the feudal lords' heavy cavalry had dominated the European battlefields. But the Swiss invented a tactic that changed warfare forever. The Battle of Morgarten in 1315 was a turning point. Swiss pikemen defeated the Austrian knights using long spears and close formation. This victory showed that well-organized infantry could defeat heavy cavalry. News of the Swiss success spread throughout Europe, and their services became highly valued. The Swiss military system was based on several principles. The first was strict discipline. Every soldier knew his place in the ranks and carried out orders precisely. The second was mutual support. The Swiss fought not as individual soldiers, but as a single organism. The third was a willingness to die for their comrades. Betrayal or cowardice were punishable by death without trial or investigation. The weapon of the Swiss mercenaries was the halberd. a combination of a spear, an axe, and a hook on a long shaft. This versatile weapon could be used to stab, chop, and pull a rider from his horse. In the hands of an experienced warrior, the halberd became a deadly instrument. The Swiss perfected their mastery of this weapon from a young age. By the end of the 15th century, Swiss mercenaries served in all the armies of Europe. French kings maintained a Swiss guard. Italian dukes hired Swiss regiments, and even English monarchs used the services of alpine warriors. But there was one ironclad rule: the Swiss never fought against other Swiss. The reputation of Swiss mercenaries was based not only on their combat skills, but also on their absolute reliability. They never changed sides in the middle of a campaign, never demanded additional payment, and never robbed their allies. A Swiss man's word was as good as an unbreakable contract. This reputation was worth more than gold in a world full of betrayal and deceit. The religious wars of the 16th century presented Swiss mercenaries with a difficult choice. The Reformation divided the cantons into Catholic and Protestant, but even religious differences could not destroy military traditions. The Swiss continued to serve those who paid their wages, regardless of their employer's religion. It was this tradition of loyalty and professionalism that attracted the attention of Pope Julius II. He was looking for soldiers who would serve not for profit, but out of a sense of duty and honor. The Swiss were ideal for the role of papal defenders. Their military skills were complemented by moral qualities that were highly valued at the time. Becoming a Swiss Guard today is no easier than it was 500 years ago. Candidates are selected according to strict criteria that combine ancient traditions with modern requirements. Each year, only a few dozen young Swiss men receive the honor of serving in the Vatican. But what qualities are needed to become one of the chosen few? The first and unchanging requirement is Swiss citizenship. This tradition dates back to the very creation of the Guard and has never been broken. Candidates must be Catholic, unmarried men between the ages of 19 and 30. A minimum height of 174 centimeters, impeccable physical health, and no criminal record are just the basic requirements. A mandatory step is service in the Swiss Army. Candidates must complete a full course of military training and receive a recommendation from the command. The Swiss Army is renowned for its discipline and professionalism. Only the best of the best can expect a recommendation for service in the Vatican. The selection procedure consists of several stages. First, the candidate's biography is thoroughly checked. Their family history, education, military service, and behavior in everyday life are examined. Any questionable circumstances may be grounds for rejection. The Swiss Guard does not compromise on reliability. The medical examination takes place in several stages. The candidate is tested not only for physical health, but also for psychological stability. Service in the Vatican requires a special character. A guard must be able to remain calm in any situation, make quick decisions, and work in a team. Particular attention is paid to language training. In addition to their native German or French, candidates must also be proficient in Italian. Knowledge of English and Latin is welcome. In the multinational environment of the Vatican, language skills are critical to the performance of official duties. Religious training is an integral part of the selection process. Candidates are interviewed by the chaplain of the Guard. The interview covers not only formal membership in the Catholic Church, but also the depth of faith, understanding of church traditions, and willingness to serve the cause of defending Christianity. The final stage is a personal meeting with the commander of the Swiss Guard. This conversation can last several hours and covers a wide range of topics. The commander assesses not only the professional qualities, but also the personality of the candidate. Can this person become part of a special brotherhood? Are they ready to take a sacred oath? The candidates' families are also vetted. Parents, brothers, sisters, all close relatives are investigated by the security service. Any connections to criminal or extremist organizations exclude the possibility of service. The family's honor must be impeccable. After a positive decision on enrollment, a preparatory period begins. The candidate receives detailed information about what awaits him in Rome. This is not just a job, but a special way of life. 2 years of service will change a person forever. Many refuse this honor at the last moment. An interesting fact is that among the selected candidates, there is a high percentage of people from military and police families. The tradition of service is often passed down from generation to generation. Some families are proud that their representatives have served in the Swiss Guard for centuries. The modern selection system combines centuries-old traditions with the demands of the times. The testing technology has become more sophisticated, but the basic principles remain unchanged. The Swiss Guard is not just looking for soldiers, but for people of a special disposition who are capable of continuing the tradition of their predecessors. The oath-taking ceremony is the most solemn and mysterious ritual in the life of a Swiss Guard. Every May 6th, on the anniversary of the heroic defense of Rome, new recruits gather in the courtyard of San Damaso to utter the words that will bind them with sacred ties for the rest of their lives. But what happens during this ancient ceremony? Preparation for the oath begins several weeks in advance. The recruits study the Latin text of the oath, practice the ceremonial movements, and prepare their parade uniforms. Every detail must be flawless. A mistake during the ceremony is considered a bad omen and can call into question a person's readiness to serve in the Guard. The day of the ceremony begins with a special Mass in the Sistine Chapel. Accompanied by their senior comrades, the recruits pray that the Almighty will give them the strength to serve with dignity. The chaplain of the Guard delivers a sermon on the importance of loyalty and self-sacrifice. The atmosphere in the chapel is solemn and somewhat anxious. After Mass, the most important part begins: the ceremony in the courtyard of San Damaso. The courtyard is decorated with the flags of the Vatican and Switzerland, flowers in the colors of the papal coat of arms. Guests of honor take their places on specially installed stands. Among those present are senior officials of the Curia, diplomats, and relatives of the recruits. At exactly 4:30 p.m., solemn fanfare sounds. This time was not chosen by chance. It was at this very moment 500 years ago that the heroic defense of St. Peter's Basilica began. To the sounds of a military march, veterans of the Guard enter the courtyard in full dress uniform. They are followed by the recruits. The commander of the Guard reads out the names of those who died on May 6, 1527. After each name, everyone present responds, "Presente, here." This tradition emphasizes that the fallen heroes are spiritually present at the ceremony and bless their successors. The climax arrives. The recruits line up in front of the commander of the Guard and raise their right hands. With their left hands, they touch the unit's banner. The recitation of the sacred oath in Latin begins. The text of the oath is not officially published, but it is known that the Guards swear to serve the Pope and his successors faithfully. The oath contains special words about the willingness to sacrifice one's life to protect the head of the church. The guard promises to keep the secrets that will become known to him during his service. He swears to be an example of Christian morality and never to disgrace the honor of a Swiss soldier. Each word is pronounced with special solemnity. After taking the oath, the recruits approach the commander one by one and kiss the guard's banner. This is an ancient ritual symbolizing spiritual unity with a centuries-old tradition. The banner preserves the memory of all previous generations of the Pope's defenders. Touching it signifies entry into a special brotherhood. The ceremony ends with a blessing from the chaplain and the performance of the Swiss Guard anthem. Relatives of the recruits can come up and congratulate their loved ones. Many do not hide their tears of pride. Their sons have become part of a legend that has been alive for 5 centuries. In the evening, a traditional feast is held in the barracks. Veterans share stories of their service with the newcomers, telling them about traditions and unspoken rules. The recruits receive their first instructions on how to behave in various situations. This informal initiation ritual is no less important than the official ceremony. The oath of a Swiss guard has no expiration date. Even after leaving the service, former guards remain bound by certain obligations. They cannot disclose secrets that have become known to them in the Vatican. Violation of this rule is considered not only a crime, but also a spiritual sin. After taking the sacred oath, recruits begin the long journey of becoming true Swiss guards. Training in the Vatican is radically different from anything they experienced in the Swiss army. Here, ancient traditions are combined with modern methods of training elite fighters. But what secrets does the training program for the papal guards hide? The first few weeks are devoted to studying the history and traditions of the guard. New recruits must know the biographies of all the commanders, the major battles, and the heroic episodes of past centuries. This is not just memorizing dates and names. Each story carries a lesson about how a true guard should behave in a critical situation. Special attention is paid to studying the Vatican. Recruits master the complex layout of the palaces, learn about secret passages and hidden rooms. They must know every corridor, every staircase, every exit. In an emergency, this knowledge can be a matter of life and death for the Pope. Language training continues and deepens. In addition to Italian, the guards learn the basics of other languages that visitors to the Vatican may speak: English, French, Spanish, German. The more languages a guard knows, the more effectively he can perform his duties. Diplomatic protocol is another important part of the training. Guards must know how to address representatives of different countries and religions. A mistake in protocol can create an international incident. Therefore, learning the intricacies of diplomatic etiquette takes a lot of time. Physical training is conducted according to a special program. Guards train in a modern gym, but they also master ancient martial arts. Sword and halberd skills are not just a tribute to tradition. These skills develop coordination, reaction, and a sense of distance, which are useful in any combat situation. Firearms training takes place at a closed shooting range in the Vatican basements. Guards learn to use various types of firearms, from pistols to automatic weapons. Special attention is paid to shooting in confined spaces when civilians are nearby. Every shot must hit only the enemy. Psychological training is one of the most difficult aspects of the training. Guards learn to recognize potential threats, read body language, and identify suspicious behavior. They study the basics of criminal psychology and methods of countering terrorists. Medical training includes first aid courses and the basics of field medicine. Every guardsman must be able to help a wounded comrade or protect an injured civilian. In emergency situations, medical skills can be just as important as combat skills. A special section of the training is devoted to working with modern technology. Guards study video surveillance systems, communications equipment, metal detectors, and X-ray machines. Technological progress does not eliminate the human factor, but it significantly increases the effectiveness of security. Religious education continues throughout their service. Guards deepen their knowledge of Catholic theology, study church history, and participate in special spiritual exercises. They protect not just a person, but Christ's representative on earth. Night training sessions are held in complete secrecy. Guards rehearse various scenarios of an attack on the Pope. They learn to operate in the dark, in poor visibility, and in conditions of panic. Every movement must be rehearsed until it becomes automatic. In a critical situation, there will be no time to think. Interaction with other security services is an important part of training. In addition to the Swiss Guard, the Vatican also employs Italian police, intelligence services, and private security agencies. All these structures must work together seamlessly and not interfere with each other. The study of modern threats occupies a special place in the program. Guards analyze terrorist methods, study cases of attempts on the lives of high-ranking officials, and master the latest technologies for detecting explosives and weapons. Enemies are becoming increasingly sophisticated, and defenders must be prepared for any surprises. Practical training takes place not only in the Vatican, but also outside its walls. Guards accompany the Pope on trips around Rome, practice security during mass events, and study the specifics of working in various conditions. Each field trip becomes a test of professional aptitude. Psychological tests are conducted regularly throughout their service. Specialists monitor the emotional state of the guards, identifying signs of fatigue or stress. The work of protecting the Pope requires constant tension, and not everyone can withstand such a load for a long time. The final stage of training is an exam before a commission of senior officers. The recruit must demonstrate all the skills he has acquired, from weapon proficiency to knowledge of protocol. Only after passing the exam does he earn the right to serve alongside the Pope. But training never ends. Even experienced guards regularly take advanced training courses and learn new methods and technologies. In a world where threats are constantly evolving, the Pope's defenders cannot afford to stop developing. The secrets of training are passed down from generation to generation. Many training methods have never been officially documented. They live on in oral tradition, passed down from veterans to newcomers. This knowledge makes the Swiss Guard unique among military formations worldwide. But what other secrets are hidden within the walls of the Vatican barracks? The brightly colored uniforms of the Swiss Guards are one of the most recognizable symbols of the Vatican. Tourists from all over the world take pictures next to soldiers in unusual costumes, considering them purely decorative. But few people know that every detail of this uniform has a deep symbolic meaning and practical purpose. What secrets do the Papal Guard's uniforms conceal? The modern parade uniform was developed in the 19th century, but its roots go back to the Renaissance. For a long time, it was believed that Michelangelo himself had created the design, but historical research has disproved this beautiful legend. The real authors were the court artists of Pope Julius II, who sought to create a costume that emphasized the grandeur and power of the papacy. The color scheme of the uniform is not accidental. Yellow symbolizes gold, the wealth of the Church and its earthly power. Red signifies the blood of martyrs shed for their faith and the guards' willingness to sacrifice themselves. Blue represents heavenly purity and fidelity to God. These three colors are also the heraldic colors of the Medici family, indicating the papacy's ties to the influential Florentine dynasty. The cut of the costume reproduces the fashion of the 16th century. Wide puffed trousers, a short doublet, long stockings. All this is typical of the Renaissance. But behind the apparent archaism lie practical considerations. The loose cut does not restrict movement during combat, and the thick fabric provides protection from the cold and rain. The guard's helmet is a work of art. It is handmade from steel and decorated with ostrich feathers. The height of the feathers indicates the rank of the owner. Ordinary guards wear red feathers, non-commissioned officers wear red and white feathers, and officers wear white feathers. The commander of the guard is entitled to special feathers, white with a red stripe. The metal elements of the uniform are made of high-quality steel and brass. The breastplate protects vital organs and at the same time serves as a symbol of the impenetrability of faith. The breastplate is engraved with the coat of arms of the current pope. After the pontiff's death, all elements bearing his coat of arms are replaced. The guard's footwear also has special features. The high boots are made of genuine leather and must fit the foot perfectly. Each guard receives 2 pairs, one for parades and one for everyday wear. The soles are made of a special rubber that does not slip on the marble floors of the Vatican palaces. Gloves are an essential part of the parade uniform. They protect the hands during ceremonies and give the guard's appearance a sense of completeness. White gloves symbolize purity of thought and a willingness to serve without self-interest. Gloves may only be removed while on duty in special cases. The cloak is worn only in cold weather or during particularly solemn ceremonies. It is made of heavy woolen fabric and decorated with the coat of arms of the guard. The cloak not only protects against the weather, but also gives the guard's figure additional impressiveness. The everyday uniform is much simpler than the parade uniform, but it also has its own characteristics. Dark blue trousers, a blue shirt, and a black beret with the guard's emblem. This costume is practical and comfortable for daily service. In it, the guards can move quickly and, if necessary, engage in combat. The manufacture of uniforms is a complex and costly process. Each suit is sewn individually, taking into account the characteristics of the owner's figure. Masters from Roman ateliers, who pass on the secrets of their art from generation to generation, work on the uniforms. It takes several months to create one set of parade uniforms. The cost of a complete set of uniforms is several thousand euros. These expenses are covered entirely by the Vatican. After completing their service, guards can keep their uniforms as souvenirs, but only their everyday uniforms. Parade uniforms remain the property of the Swiss Guard. Caring for the uniform requires special skills. The guards themselves clean and iron their costumes, polish the metal parts, and care for the feathers on their helmets. This is not just a matter of maintaining their appearance, it is a sign of respect for tradition and their comrades. But do the guards know what secrets the Vatican's arsenals hold? The weapons of the Swiss Guards combine ancient traditions with modern technology. The famous halberds, which tourists consider purely decorative, are in fact formidable weapons of war. But the arsenal of the papal defenders is not limited to historical models. What secrets do the Vatican's armories hide? The halberd, The traditional weapon of Swiss soldiers is still used by the Guard. Modern halberds are made according to 16th century designs, but from more durable materials. The shaft is made from a special type of ash tree that grows in the Swiss mountains. The metal part is forged from high-carbon steel and sharpened to razor sharpness. The halberd is 2 meters and 10 centimeters long. This is not a random length. It allows the Guard to keep the enemy at a distance and at the same time work effectively in the confined space of the palace corridors. An experienced Guard can use the halberd to deliver stabbing and slashing blows and to hook the enemy. The Guard's ceremonial swords are true works of blacksmithing art. The blades are forged from Damascus steel using ancient techniques. The handles are decorated with the coats of arms of the Pope and the Swiss Confederation. Each sword is consecrated during a special ceremony and is considered a sacred weapon. However, firearms form the basis of modern weaponry. The standard service pistol of a Guard is the German Glock Model 17. This reliable and accurate pistol is used by the special services of many countries. The ammunition load is 17 9mm caliber cartridges. For particularly important events, Guards receive Heckler & Koch MP5 submachine guns. This compact weapon is ideal for use in crowded areas. Its high rate of fire and accuracy make it an effective tool for combating terrorists. Silencers allow them to fire without causing panic among the civilian population. Sniper rifles are used to ensure security during mass events. Snipers are positioned in concealed locations on the roofs and towers of the Vatican. Modern optical sights allow them to hit targets at a distance of up to 800 meters. Each sniper team consists of 2 people, a shooter and an observer. Protective equipment is no less important than offensive weapons. Under their ceremonial uniforms, the Guards wear modern bulletproof vests capable of stopping a pistol bullet. Lightweight and durable, they do not restrict movement and are invisible under clothing. The level of protection meets the most stringent international standards. Special transparent polycarbonate shields are used to protect the Pope during public appearances. These shields can withstand large-caliber rifle bullets and explosive fragments. They are installed inconspicuously to the public, but provide reliable protection. Non-lethal weapons occupy a special place in the Guard's arsenal. Stun guns, gas canisters, and rubber batons all allow the Guards to neutralize intruders without causing serious harm. This is especially important when dealing with mentally ill people or religious fanatics. Explosives and explosive devices are also part of the Guard's arsenal, but are only used in extreme cases. Special charges can destroy barricades or make passages in walls. Smoke grenades help to conceal the Pope's movements during evacuation. Modern technical means complement traditional weapons. Metal detectors, X-ray machines, chemical analyzers, all this technology helps to identify threats before they become critical. Portable radios provide communication between all security units. Weapons are serviced and repaired in the Vatican's own workshops. Experienced gunsmiths not only keep the equipment in working order, but also modernize it for the specific tasks of protecting the Pope. Many technical solutions are kept strictly confidential. Weapons are stored according to the most modern security standards. The arsenal is located in underground rooms under several levels of protection. Only officers of the Guard have access, and every movement is recorded by surveillance systems. But what is the true organizational structure of this elite unit? The structure of the Swiss Guard reflects centuries-old military traditions and modern security requirements. Despite its small size, only 110 people, the unit has a complex hierarchy and a clear division of responsibilities. Each guard knows his place in this well-oiled system. But how is the internal organization of the papal defenders structured? The guard is headed by a commander with the title of Oberst, Colonel. This position was established in the 16th century and retains all its historical privileges. The commander is appointed personally by the Pope and reports only to him. The term of office is not limited, but traditionally lasts 5 to 7 years. There have been only 38 commanders in the entire history of the Guard. The deputy commander has the rank of Oberstleutnant, Lieutenant Colonel. He coordinates the daily activities of the unit and replaces the commander in his absence. This position is usually held by an officer with extensive experience in the Swiss Army and an impeccable reputation. The Guard is divided into 3 main units. The first is the Pope's personal security detail, consisting of 24 of the most experienced guards. They accompany the pontiff everywhere and are personally responsible for his safety. This unit is commanded by a major with special powers. The second unit is the Residence Guard, which includes 50 guards. They control access to the Vatican, check visitors, and patrol the territory. These soldiers work closely with the Italian police and other security services. The third unit is the Ceremonial Company, consisting of 36 guards. They participate in official events, religious ceremonies, and receptions for distinguished guests. Outwardly, their functions seem purely decorative, but in reality, the ceremonial guards are fully fledged soldiers. The ranks in the Guard correspond to the Swiss military system with some historical features. Ordinary guards have the rank of Gardist. Experienced soldiers receive the rank of Vice-Gardist, Deputy Guard. This is an intermediate rank that does not exist in regular armies. The non-commissioned officers include corporals and sergeants. They are responsible for training recruits, maintaining discipline, and carrying out special tasks. Only a guard who has served for at least 3 years and demonstrated exceptional qualities can obtain the rank of sergeant. The officer corps is small, but plays a key role. Lieutenants command platoons, captains command companies, and majors are responsible for entire areas of activity. All officers have higher education and additional training in security. The position of Feldwebel, or Senior Sergeant of the Guard, occupies a special place. It is an unofficial but very important position. The Feldwebel is responsible for traditions, maintains communication between the command and the rank and file, and resolves everyday issues. Usually, this position is held by the most authoritative veteran. The system of promotion in rank is based on the principles of merit and length of service. Rapid promotion is only possible in exceptional circumstances. The Guard values stability and does not encourage careerism. The main thing is not rank, but loyalty to the oath. The disciplinary system is based on the traditions of the Swiss Army. Violations are punished with fines, additional duties, and deprivation of leave. Serious offenses can lead to early dismissal from the Guard. Such cases are extremely rare. The honor of serving in the Vatican is dear to every Swiss citizen. The Guards receive a high level of financial support. In addition to their salary, they receive free meals, medical care, and uniforms. Accommodation is provided in special barracks on Vatican territory. Living conditions are Spartan but comfortable. Veterans of the Guard are held in high esteem. After completing their service, they can count on assistance in finding employment, letters of recommendation, and participation in ceremonial events. Many former guards go on to successful careers in the Swiss police or private security agencies. Contact with families is maintained through special programs. Relatives of guardsmen can visit the Vatican, participate in ceremonies, and meet with the command. This helps to maintain the morale of the soldiers and strengthens the ties between the Guard and Swiss society. But what is the everyday life of these unusual soldiers like? The daily life of a Swiss Guard is radically different from the impressions of tourists, who only see the ceremonial side of the service. Behind the colorful ceremonies lies the intense work of professional soldiers, ready at any moment to protect the Pope's life. Every day is scheduled down to the minute. Every movement has a purpose. So what is the daily routine of the Pontiff's defenders? They rise at 5 a.m. on weekdays and 6 a.m. on weekends. The first thing the guards do is say morning prayers in the barracks chapel. The religious component of the service is not a formality. Every day begins with an appeal to God for blessing and protection. After prayer, they do physical training in the barracks gym. The program includes cardio exercises, strength training, and elements of martial arts. Guards must remain in peak physical condition throughout their service. Weakness is unacceptable for those who protect the head of the Catholic Church. Breakfast is served in the common dining room at long wooden tables. The menu is varied and nutritious, featuring Swiss, Italian, and international dishes. The barracks chef has many years of experience and knows the tastes of each guard. During the meal, plans for the day are discussed and news is exchanged. 8 o'clock in the morning is the time for the changing of the guard. All the guards on duty gather in the main courtyard. An officer reads out orders, assigns posts, and gives special instructions. The changing of the guard ceremony is not just a transfer of information, but a ritual that emphasizes the seriousness of the duties ahead. The day shift begins with an inspection of posts and equipment. Each guard checks the condition of his weapons, communications equipment, and protective gear. The slightest malfunction could cost the Pope his life, so the equipment must be in perfect condition. Security posts are located throughout the Vatican. The main gates, entrances to the Apostolic Palace, and corridors of the Pope's residence are all guarded by vigilant guards. The changing of the guard takes place every 2 hours. This allows for a high level of concentration to be maintained. Special attention is required when accompanying the Pope during his movements around the Vatican. The personal security detail consists of 6 people who form a protective perimeter around the Pontiff. They must be prepared for any unexpected event, from sudden illness to assassination attempts. The lunch break lasts 1 hour. The guards eat in the same dining room, but the atmosphere is more relaxed. They can discuss the news, share their impressions of the service, and talk about home. These moments of human interaction are very important for maintaining morale. The second half of the day is devoted to special training, learning new technical skills, tactical training, language courses, medical training. Every day brings new knowledge. To stop developing means to become vulnerable to modern threats. Special days require special preparation. When distinguished guests visit the Vatican or major ceremonies are held, the service regime becomes more stringent. Guards can work 12 to 14 hours without a break. Fatigue must not affect vigilance. Free time is limited, but the guards know how to use it. The barracks have a library, a games room, and a TV. Many study Italian or read history books. Some do handicrafts, which helps them relax after a busy day. They keep in touch with their homeland via the internet and telephone. Each guard can communicate daily with family and friends in Switzerland. This is very important for the psychological comfort of young people who are far from home. Vacations are scheduled, usually 2 weeks every 3 months. Most guardsmen go home to Switzerland. Seeing their families gives them new strength for their service. Some use their vacation to travel around Europe, as they may not have another opportunity to do so. The evening roll call takes place at 7 p.m. The day's results are summarized, the next day is planned, and current issues are resolved. After roll call, the guard's personal time begins. Some go to the gym, some read, and some just relax. Lights out is at 10 p.m., but the guards on duty continue to serve around the clock. Night guard duty requires special vigilance, as attacks most often occur in the dark. But even the most experienced guardsmen do not know all the secrets of their legendary predecessors. Over the 5 centuries of its existence, the Swiss Guard has been led by outstanding military leaders whose names are inscribed in gold letters in history. These men not only commanded soldiers, but also shaped traditions that live on to this day. Their fates reflect the dramatic twists and turns of European history. Who are these legendary commanders? Caspar von Zillenegg became the first commander of the Swiss Guard in 1506. An experienced military leader from the canton of Zug, he established the basic principles of organization and training for the papal defenders. Zillenegg established strict rules for selecting candidates and created a system of oaths that has survived to this day. Caspar Royst took command of the Guard in 1524 and became a symbol of heroism and loyalty to duty. It was under his command that the Guards performed their famous feat on May 6, 1527. Royst died in the front lines, defending the retreat of Pope Clement VII. After the tragedy of 1527, the Guard had to be rebuilt from scratch. This difficult task was solved by Jost von Megen, who was appointed commander in 1532. He not only replenished the ranks with new fighters, but also modernized the training system to reflect the changing realities of warfare. The 17th century brought new challenges. Ludwig Pfeiffer von Altishofen commanded the Guard from 1629 to 1652. He led the Pope's defenders during the 30 Years' War, when the Vatican was caught between the warring Catholic and Protestant forces. The 18th century was a time of great change for all of Europe. Franz Anton Pfeiffer von Altishofen, a descendant of the previous commander, led the Guard during the Napoleonic Wars. When French troops occupied Rome in 1798, he managed to preserve the core of the Guard and subsequently rebuild the unit. The 19th century brought the unification of Italy and the abolition of the Papal States. Karl Pfeiffer von Altishofen led the Guard during this difficult period from 1847 to 1874. He adapted the unit to the new conditions and laid the foundations for the modern structure of the Guard. The 20th century presented commanders with unprecedented challenges. Jules Repon led the Guard from 1910 to 1921. He carried out a radical reform of the training of guardsmen, introducing modern methods of military training and new types of weapons. The period between the 2 world wars required particular diplomatic flexibility. Alois Hirschbühl commanded the Guard from 1921 to 1935. He managed to maintain the unit's neutrality during the rise of fascism in Italy. World War II was a serious test. Heinrich Pfau commanded the Guard from 1935 to 1942. When German troops occupied Rome, he organized the defense of the Vatican and ensured the safety of Pope Pius XII. The post-war era required the modernization of the unit. Robert Nunlist led the Guard from 1957 to 1972. He introduced modern technical security measures and established close cooperation with the Italian security services. Piccolo Lockenmeyer, who commanded the Guard from 1972 to 1990, deserves special mention. He was responsible for the assassination attempt on Pope John Paul II in 1981. Lockenmeyer radically revised the security system and introduced new protection protocols. Modern commanders continue the tradition of their predecessors. Each of them contributes to the development of the Guard, adapting ancient traditions to the challenges of modernity. Their names have not yet become history, but they are already writing new pages in the chronicle of the papal defenders. All commanders of the Guard are united by common qualities: impeccable honesty, deep religiosity, and outstanding military abilities. They are not just military leaders, but guardians of traditions that are older than many European states. But not all pages of the Guard's history are filled with heroic deeds. The history of the Swiss Guard is not all victories and triumphs. 5 centuries of service have brought many tragedies, losses, and dark pages that people prefer not to talk about aloud. Some events are still classified in the Vatican archives. What dark secrets are hidden in the chronicles of the papal defenders? The most terrible tragedy remains the massacre of May 6, 1527. 147 guardsmen fell in an unequal battle, defending the Pope from the Emperor's army. Their death was heroic, but the details of this battle are horrifying. Many guardsmen were literally torn to pieces by the frenzied mercenaries. But it was not only enemies who threatened the guardsmen. In 1591, an unprecedented incident occurred. Guardsman Balthazar Cazzati killed his comrade during a quarrel over a woman. It was the first murder in the ranks of the Guard, and it shook the entire unit. Cazzati was executed, and his name was removed from all documents. The 17th century brought new trials. During the plague epidemic of 1629, 23 guardsmen died. They continued to serve even as the disease mowed down their comrades. Many died at their posts, refusing to leave their places even in the face of death. The period of the French Revolution was particularly grim. In 1798, French troops entered Rome and arrested Pope Pius VI. The guards were unable to protect their charge. For the first time in 3 centuries, they suffered a complete defeat. Many committed suicide, unable to bear the shame. The 19th century was marked by a series of mysterious deaths. In 1842, Guardsman Franz Müller died under unexplained circumstances. His body was found in the Vatican gardens with signs of violent death. The investigation never identified the culprits, but there were rumors of a political conspiracy. Even more mysterious was the case of 1871. Guard Johann Schmidt disappeared without a trace while on duty. His post was left abandoned, his weapons and equipment untouched. The search continued for months, but no traces were found. Some believed he had deserted, while others suspected kidnapping. The 20th century brought new types of threats. In 1938, Guardsman Anton Huber was arrested on suspicion of spying for Nazi Germany. The investigation established that he had passed secret information about Vatican security to German agents. Huber was secretly executed, and his death was officially declared an accident. World War II was a time of great hardship. Although the Vatican remained neutral, Guardsmen died in Allied bombings and at the hands of German saboteurs. In 1944, a group of Gestapo agents attempted to infiltrate the palace. 3 guardsmen died repelling the attack. The post-war period was also not without tragedy. In 1978, a scandal occurred that nearly destroyed the reputation of the Guard. Several guards were involved in drug trafficking. They used their position to smuggle heroin from Turkey to America via diplomatic mail. The darkest page in modern history was the murder of Guard Commander Alois Estermann on May 4, 1988. He was shot by a young guard, Cedric Torney, who then committed suicide. Officially, this was explained by the killer's mental disorder, but many suspect more complex motives. This tragedy occurred the day before the traditional swearing-in ceremony for new recruits. The Guard was in shock, but the ceremony took place as scheduled. The new commander vowed to avenge his predecessor. Although there was no one to avenge, the killer was dead. There are other dark episodes that are still classified. The Vatican archives contain documents on cases of desertion, suicide, and war crimes. Some materials will only be declassified in a few decades. What do these documents hide? Despite all the tragedies, the Swiss Guard has retained its honor and dignity. Each loss made the survivors stronger. Each trial strengthened the traditions. The dark pages of history are also part of the great legacy of the papal defenders. But how does this ancient institution manage to survive in the modern world? The 21st century has presented the Swiss Guard with challenges that its founders could never have imagined. International terrorism, cyber attacks, drones, biological threats. Modern papal defenders face dangers that require fundamentally new approaches. How does an ancient military formation adapt to the realities of the digital age? The terrorist threat has become the main nightmare of the Vatican Security Service. After the events of September 11, 2001, the security system was radically revised. The guards underwent special training in counterterrorism and learned the latest methods of detecting explosives and chemical weapons. Modern technology has radically changed the nature of the service. The video surveillance system covers every meter of the Vatican. Hundreds of cameras continuously transmit images to the central control point. Computer programs analyze people's behavior and automatically detect suspicious activity. Cybersecurity has become a new area of responsibility for the guards. Hackers regularly attempt to hack into the Vatican's information systems. Some guards have received special training in computer security and work closely with IT specialists. The threat from the air requires special precautions. A no-fly zone has been established over the Vatican, but violators appear regularly. Guards are trained to detect and intercept unmanned aerial vehicles. Special electronic warfare systems have been put into service. Biological threats have become relevant after the coronavirus pandemic. Guards have studied the basics of epidemiology, mastered the use of protective equipment, and learned how to disinfect premises. Security protocols have been modified to take into account the need to comply with sanitary standards. Psychological profiles of potential violators are compiled using artificial intelligence. Computer programs analyze visitor behavior and identify signs of aggression or inappropriate behavior. This allows incidents to be prevented at an early stage. International cooperation has become a key element in ensuring security. The Swiss Guard maintains contacts with the special services of dozens of countries. Information about threats comes from various sources and is processed in real time. The training of guards includes studying the latest methods of warfare. They master tactics for fighting in urban environments, study the psychology of terrorists, and train in conditions of limited visibility and loud noise. Each exercise is close to the real conditions of a possible attack. The equipment is constantly being upgraded. The latest models of small arms, communications equipment, and protective gear are being added to the arsenal. Some technical innovations are developed specifically for the needs of the Vatican and are not used anywhere else. Social networks have become a new field of activity for the security service. Specialists monitor threats on the internet, analyze publications by extremist groups, and identify the plans of potential violators. Virtual space requires the same vigilance as physical space. Environmental threats are also the responsibility of the Guard. Climate change, air pollution, and natural disasters can all affect the Pope's safety. Evacuation plans have been developed for various emergencies. Medical care has reached an unprecedented level. A mini-hospital with state-of-the-art equipment has been set up in the Vatican. Several guards have medical training and can provide qualified assistance in an emergency. The legal aspects of the service have become more complicated due to the development of international law. Guards must be familiar with the intricacies of the jurisdictions of various countries, the specifics of diplomatic immunity, and the norms of international humanitarian law. A mistake in legal matters can create an international scandal. Despite all the technical innovations, the human factor remains decisive. No computer can replace the intuition of an experienced guard, his ability to instantly assess a situation and make the right decision. Modern challenges require not a replacement of traditions, but their reasonable supplementation. The future of the Swiss Guard largely depends on its ability to maintain a balance between ancient traditions and modern requirements. 500 years ago, its founders could not have imagined the threats their successors would face. But will this unique formation be able to preserve its identity in a rapidly changing world? The Swiss Guard of the Vatican is on the threshold of a new stage in its history. 5 centuries of service have created a unique tradition that has survived wars, revolutions, and technological upheavals. In today's world, where many institutions are disappearing or undergoing radical change, the papal defenders remain true to their principles. What legacy will they leave to future generations? The main value of the Swiss Guard is to demonstrate that loyalty and honor can be eternal. In an age of cynicism and pragmatism, the Guards prove that there are ideals worth sacrificing one's life for. Their oath has no expiration date. Their devotion does not depend on circumstances. The traditions of the Guard have become part of the world's cultural heritage. Their colorful uniforms, ancient rituals, and military discipline attract the attention of millions of people around the world. It is impossible to imagine the Vatican without the Swiss Guards. They have become as integral a part of the Eternal City as the Colosseum or St. Peter's Basilica. Their military skills, honed over centuries, continue to improve. Modern guards are highly professional fighters capable of countering any threat. Their experience is studied by special services in various countries. The training methods developed in the Vatican are used to train elite units around the world. The moral principles of the Guard remain relevant in any era. Honesty, loyalty, self-sacrifice, mutual assistance, these qualities never go out of style. In a world where moral values are often sacrificed for profit, the Guards set an example of true service. The religious dimension of their service has not lost its relevance. In a secular world, the guards remain warriors of faith in the literal sense. They protect not only the person, but also the spiritual values that he embodies. Their service is a form of prayer expressed through action. The international significance of the Guard extends far beyond the Vatican. They have become a symbol of intercultural dialogue and mutual understanding. Swiss Protestants serve the Catholic Pope, demonstrating the possibility of overcoming religious differences for the sake of higher goals. The educational function of the Guard cannot be overestimated. Thousands of young Swiss have passed through its ranks and taken with them invaluable experience. Discipline, responsibility, and teamwork are qualities that help former Guards in any field of activity. Technological innovations introduced in the Guard are applied in other areas. Security systems developed for the Vatican are used to protect important sites around the world. The Guard has become a laboratory where the latest security methods are tested. The cultural influence of the papal defenders spreads through literature, cinema, and art. Their image has inspired writers and artists for centuries. The romance of military service, embodied in the Swiss Guards, continues to stir people's hearts. The economic importance of the Guard for Switzerland is also significant. Service in the Vatican has become a prestigious form of export for Swiss personnel. The country is proud that its citizens have been given the high honor of protecting the head of a world religion. Future generations will learn from the Guard how traditions can evolve without losing their essence. Adapting to new conditions does not mean abandoning fundamental principles. Methods can be modernized while keeping goals unchanged. The challenges of the future will require new solutions from the Guard. Artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, space exploration. All of these may influence the nature of threats and methods of defense. But whatever technological innovations may arise, human qualities, courage, loyalty, self-sacrifice, will remain the foundation of military service. The Swiss Guard has proven that some values are truly eternal. Its 500-year history is proof that the ideals of chivalry and honor can survive in any conditions. Bright uniforms and ancient halberds are not museum exhibits, but living symbols of enduring truths. The legacy of the Swiss Guard extends far beyond military affairs. It is a lesson that keeping one's word is more important than personal gain, that duty to others is higher than one's own interests, and that honor is more precious than life itself. In a world where these truths are often forgotten, the papal defenders remain a living reminder of man's higher purpose. Each new generation of guardsmen takes up the baton from their predecessors and passes it on. This creates a continuous chain of service that links the past with the future. As long as the Swiss Guard exists, as long as young Swiss men are willing to take the sacred oath, the tradition will live on and develop. The history of the Swiss Guard is not yet complete. New trials, new feats, and new pages of glory lie ahead. But the most important part has already been written. It has been proven that humans are capable of greatness, that ideals can become reality, and that serving others gives life its highest meaning.